Let me tell you something. Life has a funny way of testing whether you really believe in yourself. Picture this, a young kid standing on the stage at the Apollo Theater. Bright lights in his face, heart beating so loud he can barely hear the crowd. You know that feeling when your dream and your fear collide at the same exact moment. That's what the Apollo was. And let me tell you, if you can survive that stage, you can survive anything. Because the Apollo doesn't just test your talent, it tests your courage, your faith, attempt, and whether you're willing to risk everything for the one shot you've been praying for. Fear is one of the greatest weapons the enemy uses to stop you from walking into the blessing God already prepared for you. Think about it. Right before something great happens, fear shows up. Right before you step on that stage, fear whispers, attempt, you're not good enough. Right before you take that chance, fear shouts, you're going to fail. But the presence of fear is not a sign that you should stop. It's a sign that something big is on the other side. Fear is the confirmation that what you are about to do has power, and that's why the enemy is trying so hard to block you. If there was nothing on the other side, fear wouldn't even bother showing up. Every great story in the Bible has fear standing at the door before the blessing. Moses was afraid to speak, yet he was chosen to lead a nation out of bondage. David faced Goliath with nothing but a sling and a stone, and fear had to be screaming in his ears. But he stepped forward anyway and saw the hand of God move. Even Jesus in the garden prayed in anguish before the cross, because fear will always be the final test before breakthrough. That's the spiritual law. Fear rises when faith is about to be proven. Fear wants you to run back into comfort, but blessings never live in comfort. Blessings live in courage, in obedience, in stepping forward even when your knees are shaking. Fear tries to convince you that failure is final, but God uses every failure as training ground for your destiny. The truth is, the more fear you feel, the bigger the blessing must be. That's why you can't give fear the authority to dictate your decisions. You don't have to deny that it's there. You just have to deny it the power to stop you. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving anyway, knowing God walks with you. Picture standing backstage at the Apollo Theater, the crowd restless, the lights blinding, and that voice inside saying, what if they boo you? What if you forget your lines? What if you don't make it? That's fear trying to abort the destiny God placed in you. But the moment you step onto that stage, trusting not in your strength, but in God's gift, that fear begins to shrink because faith has taken over. Fear will not go away quietly. It will scream. It will shake your body. It will try to paralyze your tongue. But if you move anyway, it has no choice but to bow. You have to understand that fear is spiritual warfare. The enemy knows he cannot take away the gift God put inside you. So he tries to surround it with fear, hoping you'll never use it. He knows he can't cancel your destiny, so he wants you to cancel yourself. But the word says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That means fear is not from God. It's a foreign spirit trying to rob you of what heaven already signed off on. When fear shows up, that's your sign that your blessing is close enough to touch. That's your signal that you are standing on holy ground, about to step into the next level. The truth is, people who never feel fear usually aren't chasing anything that matters. If your dream doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough. Fear means you're reaching beyond yourself, beyond your comfort, beyond what you could do alone. And that's exactly where God wants you. Because when you walk into something that looks impossible and fear tells you, you can't, God shows up and proves, yes, you can because I can. Fear is just the noise before the miracle. Sometimes fear even disguises itself as wisdom. It'll sound logical. It'll sound reasonable. This is too risky. This isn't the right time. Maybe you're not ready yet. But don't mistake fear for wisdom. True wisdom aligns with faith, not with excuses. Fear will always tell you to wait until you feel ready, but you'll never feel ready for destiny. Destiny requires you to move while you're trembling, to trust while you're uncertain, to step out while you can't see the full path. That's faith. And faith pleases God. When you choose to face fear head on, you make room for God to display his power. Think about Joshua standing before the walls of Jericho. Those walls looked impossible. The enemy inside looked stronger, but God told him to march. I'm sure fear whispered every step of the way, "This doesn't make sense. You're wasting your time. These walls will never fall." But because Joshua was consistent and faithful, those walls came crashing down. That's how God works. He lets fear try to stop you, but if you obey anyway, the blessing becomes undeniable. Fear will tell you that the crowd is bigger than you, but faith tells you that God inside you is bigger than the crowd. Fear will tell you that your voice doesn't matter, but faith tells you that God gave you that voice for a reason. Fear will tell you that rejection is fatal, but faith tells you that rejection is redirection. Fear will tell you to quit, but faith tells you to keep moving because the blessing is already waiting on the other side. So when fear rises in your chest, when your hands are shaking, when your mind is screaming with doubt, don't see it as a sign you're failing. See it as proof you're close. The devil wouldn't be fighting you so hard if you weren't about to walk into something life-changing. That's why fear is so loud right before the blessing. It knows what's coming, and it knows it can't stop it if you step forward in faith. The real question is, will you let fear push you back, or will you let faith pull you through? Every time fear shows up, you have a choice. You can